Hey y'all, it's Rose, and in today's video I will be sharing my scoliosis story. So my scoliosis journey all began a little over 2 years ago. I was 12 and I was just coming out of 6th grade, and it was around May or June of 2018 when I discovered that something was wrong with my back, basically, because my mom and I had went shopping one day and she noticed that I was kind of leaning a little bit prior to this, and we had just moved, so we had done like a lot of lifting and we were moving into a house, moving out of a house, and so I tried on this one specific dress and I asked her if she liked it, and she had asked me if I was standing up straight, and we ended up getting the dress, but she asked me if I was standing up straight because on one side my shoulders were a little uneven, like I think on my right side it was a little higher than the other, and so she said that she would just keep an eye on it to make sure that nothing else really progressed or gotten worse or anything, and so probably maybe a couple weeks or a month later, my Nana came over, which is her mom, my mom's mom. She came over, and so we had asked her about it just to see what she had thought about it because my mom actually had scoliosis when she was in elementary school, but she never had to have like any treatment for it. So my grandma, my Nana, she had known a little bit about like back issues and things like that. So she recommended that I see a pediatrician at that time. So she told me that I should probably go in to make sure that nothing else was wrong or anything like that, because you could severely tell that like there was something off, but we just weren't sure of what it was. So we were thinking of all of our symptoms and we were ready to go into the doctor. So my mom actually had already made an appointment because I had infantile. So I had to get antibiotics for that anyway, or just medicine for that because it was on my ankle and it was on my elbow, and so I was going in for that anyway. And so while we were there, we were just going to ask about my back and my shoulders and stuff like that. So we did, and the pediatrician there, he said that I should probably see an orthopedic, and so after that, we made an appointment with an orthopedic, and my mom and I went there, and basically I had an exam, I had an x-ray, and I talked to the doctor there about what my symptoms were and just things like that, and he diagnosed me with adolescent idiopathic scoliosis. And basically, if you don't know what scoliosis is, it's a curve of the spine, and so my spine was curved to around like a 30 something degree curve, and so I was just like really kind of hoping that it wasn't something that was really a big deal, but it kind of was because I needed treatment for it as soon as possible. And so I had two options, and my options were to try a brace or in the future have surgery if that was something that was needed. But at the time it wasn't, so I went ahead and tried to wear a brace. So I went to the brace place after talking to the orthopedic, and I got measured and fitted for the brace, and I just went to my checkups from the brace place and to my doctor there, and I went every like 4 to 6 months. I think it was every 6 months, and I wore the brace for about 10 to 12 hours every night for 6 months. And so I got my brace in July of 2018, and I was diagnosed probably maybe a month or so before that, maybe even in July. I can't exactly remember, y'all, because it's been over 2 years ago, but I was going into my 7th grade school year. So I was homeschooled at this time, and I was still 12 years old because my birthday's in February. And I wore the brace as much as I could, for as long as I could every night. But the brace was supposed to prevent the curve from getting worse. It wasn't supposed to completely straighten out the curve because it had already measured up to like 30 something degrees. And so in December of 2018, I think I stopped wearing the brace, or either it was in January of 2019. I can't exactly remember, but it was in one of those 2 months. And my, I guess my curve was still around like 30 to 40 something degrees. So I was just kind of monitoring it and just going to the regular checkups and stuff. And then in 2019, in February, I turned 13. And so I actually had another upcoming doctor's appointment in February, and so when I went to that appointment, I had not been wearing the brace for just a little while because the doctor said it was okay if I stopped wearing it because it wasn't doing anything for me. And so when I went to that appointment, my orthopedic, he gave me a book after telling me that I needed like surgery within probably a year or two. He didn't really tell me that I like needed to get the surgery like pretty soon. He just said it might be something that I have to do or have to have done to me within like the future of like 1 to 2 years. And so I was really nervous about it. I didn't really expect that I was going to have to hear that I needed surgery, but I read the book that he gave me, and it was all about scoliosis and the surgery and the recovery and things like that. And so I actually still have that book, but I was really glad that I have some information about it, that I had some information about it, and that I had the ability to be able to, use the internet to research about the surgery and other people who had scoliosis and surgery as well. So I was really nervous, and I didn't really talk about it to a lot of people, but as I was gradually, growing in the journey with what it, required and stuff like that, I was eventually able to just talk about it a little bit more and create an Instagram account, as well as I started selling t-shirts and stuff. But that was more later on into the journey. It wasn't right there, exactly when I was first told, so that was in February of 2019, and I was in, let's see, 7th grade, yes, and I was 13, like I said again, so I was, still, like, I was just not really processing everything that was really going on. It took me a little bit to actually, I guess really, have a deep thought about it and stuff like that, because it's really overwhelming at first, but I waited around, like, 6 months until I had to go to the doctor again, just because I wasn't wearing the brace, and my curve was around like 48 degrees, so I just had to wait until June of 2019 until I went again. But in between there, I didn't have to go back to my like regular orthopedic. I did go to Shriners though, to have like a second opinion consultation, I guess you could say, with another physician to just make sure that everything was on the same page. And so my parents and I went to Shriners, and we saw a doctor there, and he had said the same thing that my regular orthopedic had said, about surgery and about my back. And I even brought my back brace there so he could see like what the brace was eventually, or was trying to do for me eventually. But so I did see that doctor, but no other treatment was done between February to June other than that appointment in March with the doctor at Shriners. And so in June of 2019, I had another doctor's appointment, and this doctor's appointment was actually pretty good for me because I really had I guess, a good appointment result, thing happen with like the results of the x-rays and all that kind of thing of stuff, but all that type of stuff and things like that. But I had like a 48-degree curve still, and it hadn't progressed a lot since February before that, so that was pretty good. So I didn't have to go back until December of 2018 or 2019, y'all. Sorry. It's a lot of information, but yeah, so it was in December of 2019 when I went again, and it was just to my regular orthopedic. I continued going there. I really enjoyed those visits and talking to that doctor because he helped, explain everything well to me, and my parents said I really felt good about going to that place still. So we continued going there and seeing that doctor, and I had went to that appointment a little bit before Christmas. I think it was like a week or a few days before Christmas. I had to go again, and I was told that I had a 59-degree curve, which wasn't good because it was around like 48 degrees before that, and then it went up to 59 degrees within a couple months. So at this time I had been like thinking about the surgery and just preparing myself for the news of hearing that it could be worse. And so I wasn't really surprised. I just was kind of, ready to talk to my parents about what we were going to do, because the journey and the process just kept going on, and the curve just kept getting worse. And so I had started 8th grade, and I was talking to my parents about um, like what we were going to do and things like that. And so we started talking to other people who had, had it done and things like that. And so in January of 2020, me and my parents, we scheduled the surgery. And in January, I also had my first pre-op appointment with a physical therapist, and she showed me like what I would have to do after the surgery to move and things like that. And then I didn't have any other appointments until May, which I had an appointment with my anesthesiologist and my surgeon for, and my doctor, the surgeon. And those were the only other appointments that I had before the surgery. It was those three. It was the physical therapist, the anesthesiologist, and with my surgeon. And so those were the last just couple appointments that I had before the surgery. And I got my last x-ray before the surgery in May. Towards the end of May, I tried to schedule my appointment like right before the surgery so the x-ray would be most recent. And then that x-ray came out to be a 64-degree curve. So it was 59 in December of 2019, and then in May 2020 it was 64 degrees. So yeah, those are all the appointments I had leading up to the surgery, and then I had the surgery on June 4th. So really a lot of like thoughts, a lot of prayers, a lot of, communication and research and all of that stuff was put into this before I just went and got the surgery. I know it seems like a fast process, but it was a 2-year journey of like literally figuring out what was the best decision for me, because it was a hard, like, I'm not going to say it was a hard decision to make, because when you see that x-ray, like, you got to do something, but like it was hard to comprehend, that I was like 14 and 8th grade, having to get a back surgery. That's just like how I feel about it, because like I turned 14 in February this year of 2020, and so I was in 8th grade, and the surgery was scheduled on June 4th, and so that was actually like the very last day of school. And so I was kind of like having to communicate with my teachers about it, but even though like that was the very last day of school, like we wouldn't be having school, of course. It would just be like, I guess a fun day. Like, and not actually having, school, because that was done in May. But I did communicate with my teachers about it, but then with that e-learning stuff, it made it a little bit easier, I guess. And so a lot of like stuff was, thought into it, a lot of preparing, a lot of praying, and just a lot. Like, it's not just, I guess going to all the appointments and all the doctors and all the stuff like that. Like, there was other stuff that we had going on in life that, was happening during that time too. So it was like a really, I guess, it was a joyful journey. Like, everything was like smooth and went smooth throughout all of the appointments. Like, I had a really great doctor and a surgeon that did everything phenomenal. So I'm really thankful for that. But I do, want to say, like, it's a hard decision to make. Like, it's not easy. And even though, like, when I saw that x-ray, my parents saw the x-ray, they were like, okay, like, we gotta do something, because it just kept getting worse. And that's the thing that you have to think about for like people who are going through it, is like it's hard to, kind of comprehend, like I was saying, and but you, at the same time, that you have to do something. So um the biggest thing I would recommend doing is just praying about it, because I know my parents prayed about it, and my grandparents and I prayed about it, and like we just had to, find that peace and comfort in the Lord, that knowing that we were doing the right thing, because He's the only one who could really, as well as the doctors and everything, but God had to work through us to, um, show us that He was the one who, was planning and just making it the right way and the right decision for us. So my parents and I, we went, and, we went on with the decision of surgery, and I had it this year on June 4th, and it was a life-changing day for me that I'll never forget. All the process and the doctors and the surgeon and just the nurses, and everybody was so wonderful at the hospital. I mean, 10 out of 10 experience. It was amazing. And so I'm just here to share my story with you guys, to tell you how my experience went, my story. Um, and I just want to end the video with saying it was all worth it, and I could not be more thankful. So thank you all for your support and your prayers, and if you have any questions about scoliosis or surgery, I'm here. I am almost 4 months post-op, and I'm really thankful for just how this journey has been. So thank you again. If you have any questions, just leave those below. Bye, y'all.